I am doing fantastic. I am doing fantastic. So I'm Pete. This is Casey, and we're going to spend about 45 minutes. We're going to talk about some baseball. We're going to talk about some funny stuff. We're going to get into it and kind of see where this takes us. The most important thing, we're here for you guys. So if you have comments, you've got questions, you want to talk about something, put it in the chat. Let's get going on it. Let's chop it up and let's have fun.
Absolutely.
How's your week been?
It's been good. I mean, obviously, we'll get into it as we go on. The New York Mets have not been good. Your Rangers have been pretty good. First place. The Mets, on the other hand, not so much first place. But other than that, everything's well.
Outstanding. Outstanding. So, first and foremost, we have a name. You guys voted on it. We came up with something that I think is going to work really well. And again, this is your call, your choice. We are the Shea Hello to the Nerds. That is who we are. You will start seeing branding coming out on that. We'll kind of work up, I don't know, something that's kind of cool and put that out there. But we're super excited. That's our name. You guys picked it. So thank you guys. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate you being involved. And again, this is fun for us. We get to chop it up. We get to talk ball for 45 minutes and then move on to the rest of our day. But thank you guys again for being here. And again, put yourself in the comments. If you got something to say, something you want to ask, that's what we're here for. Casey, let's start with the AL Central. They are my dogs right now. The White Sox are hot. They're gonna go all the way to the postseason. I see them completing the ALCS. I see them in the World Series.
Is that your bold take?
That is my take.
That is quite the bold take. You have the Chicago White Sox going to the World Series.
Right now, they are doing everything right, and I love seeing what they're doing.
Wow. Um, that's quite the hot take. I'll leave it at that. I do see them as a good team. I see them getting healthier, as their rookie Japanese Marinaki comes back, and that always will help. Uh, and I'm sure they're going to be buying at the deadline. And obviously, you see a side of them that tells you a lot. I mean, saying that they're going all over the World Series, considering how we look at the White Sox and being one of the worst teams for a long time. Um, I mean, the AL, as we talked about on episode 1, is what we call the quote unquote dumpster fire, if you will, a little top heavy, but
Yep.
um, it's not the worst hot take in the world. I mean, it's definitely a hot take. I don't
It,
know if I could get behind that right now. It's just because it's not like they're running away with it, but you see something obviously in them.
so the big thing that I see in them is their ability to score and their ability every night to do something to to get to the next level, to do the next thing that they need to do. It's next man up. They're doing all of this stuff, right? Who in the AL, honestly, legitimately, who in the AL right now do you think could stand up to them through a 7-game series? Quite
Well,
honestly, maybe the Yankees, maybe that's that's it. And if they get hot at the right time, they stay healthy, they get Murakami coming back, I don't think there's anybody in the AL that can beat them. It's not gonna be anybody from the West. Maybe Cleveland, maybe. If they get hot, maybe the Yankees. Who else?
yeah, I mean that's one of my hot takes right there. I mean, we're on the same boat. You have one, I have another kind of version of mine, but you're right. There's not many people that can, not a lot of teams that can, post up numbers like they do. Obviously, pitching and defense, is a huge part of everything, but I can't ignore the fact that they score runs.
They do. They do. What's yours? What is your hot take?
Well, we didn't speak about this before. Obviously, this is just,
Nope.
we're chopping it up. My hot take is about the New York Yankees, and it's the opposite of how high you are on the Chicago White Sox. My hot take is the Yankees are not as good as people think they are. Um, and they do have the best record in the AL. They have, I believe, it coming into tonight's game, a game and a half lead on the Rays.
Mhm.
Obviously, Judge being out is a massive uh, distraction and yeah, just a big time blow to their team. Uh, but they have enough offense, not lately, uh, to get them to where they want to go. But they're based on pitching, and what I'm seeing right now is a lot of just red flags with them. Obviously, it's easy for me to say this. They're on a 5-game losing streak. It's their longest losing streak since April when they lost 5 games in April. They got swept by the Red Sox. They lost last night. They're not hitting. They had a comedy of errors on Sunday night against the Red Sox, and being swept in a 4-game series to whatever team is not good. But just to tighten a little bit, I see the digression and Ben Rice not hitting as well with Aaron Judge in the lineup, and that is a big thing, obviously. Um, obviously, Max Fried is not close to coming back. I mean, he's throwing, but there's no set time for him. There's no rehab, stated. And Josh Chisholm, yes, he left the game yesterday with concussion. We don't know how long he'll be out, but and then you have Grisham on the IL. He's coming back. That will help. But my hot take is that uh, it's the opposite of yours in a way. It's just that you're high on the White Sox, which furthers your argument. The only team that probably could beat them is the Yankees, and I'm saying the Yankees are not as good as we think. Even hypothetically, if the Yankees got Aaron Judge back today, which they are not. I read the reports today. Judge is not even set to get imaging, for another more couple more weeks. I mean, he could be lost for the season. But uh, they have a cushion. They have in terms of just getting in the playoffs, of course, with being almost like 20 games over 500. But what I've seen the last 5 days is a 5-game losing streak. Their offense has completely disappeared. And I've seen Garrett Cole have 2 duds in a row. I've seen Carlos Rondon not pitch well. I don't trust the back end of their bullpen. I just don't. I mean, Bendar is maybe above average as a closer, but I'm just not as high as them as people would think. Injuries have a lot to do with it. Their manager has proven nothing. You know, Aaron Boone in the last 8 years that he's been manager, so that's not an X factor. We'll see how it plays out. I know it's easy to crap on them when they're on a 5-game losing streak, but that's my hot take.
I'm not going to disagree with you on any of it. I'm not. I don't think I like I said, they are the one team that I see in the AL that can potentially stand up against the White Sox. Maybe if the Tampa Bay Rays keep going, they could, but I don't see that being sustainable with what they're doing. And I just don't see it anywhere else. I really just don't. I think Judge's, what did I see today? That Judge is going to be out until August.
At
I mean,
least,
that's it. They're missing a big part of their season where he is very important to them and he's not going to be there. That's a lot of momentum that they're going to lose and probably not be able to make up with. So I
to
agree with
to
you. I think it's a good take.
to put a bow on our hot takes, you know, uh, what was I going to say? There was a lot, but I know we are short on time with everything we want to talk about. Uh, Judge could be lost for the season, and that's something that they're going to have to address at the trade deadline if they do think that maybe he won't be back by August or the middle of it, because you can't replace Judge, but they're going to need some power back in there, definitely.
Oh, 100%. 100%. All right, let's move on in the division. Let's go to the AL West. Let's talk about the Rangers and the bird feathers holding this thing together. They're 43 and 42. They're finally a game above 500 and they're leading a division. Come on. I mean, they're they have a -9 run differential. Am I right? -5 run differential. You can't be leading a division with a -5 run differential. It's not realistic. It's not sustainable. They've got to start doing something with their pitching. They've got to start doing something with their offense. Everybody's injured. You saw Brandon Nimmo go down today. Wyatt Langford's down. Corey Seager's doing whatever protocol he has to do after his concussion. There's so many things going against this team right now that it just cannot possibly stay and be part of the picture for right now. Maybe later, maybe once they get their wheels under them, we might see something different. But right now, it's just not real.
Yeah,
What are
I
you
mean,
thinking?
You know the Rangers better than most people. They are winning the division, but it's end of June. There's a lot of baseball to go. And like you
Yep.
said, they're kind of just duct taped together right now. I'm not really sure. You would know better than me with the Rangers. If they're in first place, they're probably going to be buyers. Maybe not crazy, but maybe address a couple of things. Um, I guess maybe the next 5 weeks, that's how it will play out. Chris Young knows what he's doing as your GM, and everything like that. I know you trust him, but with the injuries to Nimmo, Langford, um, they're a big mystery team right now. But uh, I'd rather be in first place in the end of June than have no chance. And I've always said, and it's early, that just get into the playoffs, get hot, and you could go do damage. We've seen it from so many different wild card teams. Whether they win the division or get in as a wild card team, we've seen so many teams just get in, get hot, win it all. The buys we have seen really don't matter all that much. We've seen teams with not having a buy for the first round and do well. So
And
I
and
think
you
the
see the
Rangers will.
and you see the buys hurt teams too. We've seen that more than once where the buys have hurt teams. The Dodgers didn't have a buy last year, and we know what happened. You know, if those teams that had buys didn't go on. Okay, so now let's play in your backyard. 15 and a half back.
Yeah.
I mean, we know the news. We're going to get into it. Real surface. Where are we at, man? What's happening?
Well, first of all, obviously I'm the Shea Hello newsletter, and I cover the Mets, and I'm not going to lie to everybody who is live with us, and thank you again for joining us. If you're just joining us, by the way, we have a new name, Say Hello to the Nerds. You guys voted on it from season episode 1, which was last Tuesday. We're very happy about that. But um, yeah, covering the Mets honestly right now is not fun. Uh, 15 games under 500, the 35 and 50 going to this middle game against the Blue Jays. They are done. And my newsletter today, and you can check it out. My subscribe button is right there, I believe, on the screen. Uh, Say Hello newsletter. You know where to find me. I broke down a complete breakdown on what the Mets may or may not be doing with basically everybody on their team. I didn't leave anybody out except basically their backup catcher, Luis Torrens, who's just signed an extension. But um, they haven't been 15 games under 500 since 2018. They've lost 9 out of 10. I mentioned to you last Tuesday, 20 games to go, or what was it, 23 games to go
Yep.
in 23 days before the All Star break. Now I believe there's 12 games to go, and they have lost 10 out of 11 or something like that. They have completely done the opposite of what they needed to do to make a run. They got swept by the Cubs in a 4-game series. They lost 7 in a row. That's the opposite of making a run. So you know, we all realize that. Rational Met fans, I don't think any Met fan would think they have a glimmer of hope. They're 10 games back from the wild card. Just last week when we talked, they were 5.5. But when you drop 9 out of 10, you're done. So um, I cover this team, and it's fun because they're a circus. They made
Yeah.
6 errors in 2 games. They made a crazy error in the first inning on the leadoff batter, the George Springer, a little league home run, with Soto and uh,
Yep.
AJ Ewing making that. And
Yep.
Lindor, who's come back since we've last talked, he made an error that cost Sean Manaea a quality start. Um, so, the Mets are going to make some moves, and it's going to be interesting to follow. I'll tell you that. They have plenty of guys to trade, and we'll be all over that on the Say Hello newsletter for sure.
And I think one thing, and especially because I know you talked about it with kind of the expectation going in and what we saw last night, especially and I was watching a little bit of it last night. But what we saw, it just isn't indicative of what that lineup is on paper. And there's a reason, there's something going on. And I saw, I don't know, one of the talk shows today talking about the fact that how things have changed in the clubhouse now that they've had a manager change. Do you see something different on the field yet, or are we hoping for something yet still?
No. So obviously, since we last talked, when you lose 7 in a row, you get swept by the Cubs. They fired their manager. Carlos Mendoza is gone. Interim manager Andy Green, who has been in their front office as director of player development, or overseeing basically everything in the organization. They've already said it's a 3-month managerial interim job, and they will look for a new manager at the end of the year. But to answer your question, no, he's there to just kind of, in my opinion, and I haven't wrote about this or spoke about it, so this is just news to everybody. If he's there, in my opinion, to evaluate right now, because that's what his job was before. He's not so much there, and we're talking about interim manager Andy Green, to win games. I mean, they have it. They're 1-3 under him, and I don't see any dying need, obviously, to win. You know, he got hired for Friday's game last Friday against the Phillies. They lost 2 of 3. Um, they just right now are, as much as you want to be gaslighted, or when David Stearns talks, no, they know they're done. They're selling. So Andy Green is obviously now in the managerial role to evaluate these players and see what they have for either trading them, keeping them, or what they have for next year. And the last thing I'll say about this, they waited way too long for Carlos Mendoza to be fired. We saw what happened with Alex Cora and the Red Sox. We saw what happened with the Phillies, Rob Thompson, and Don Mattingly. Red Sox, as bad as they've been, they're right there somehow in the wild card race. Just that's because the AL is just a dumpster fire. But they waited too long to fire Carlos Mendoza. And let me be straight here, and I've written about this many times in my newsletter. It's not his fault. He was dealt a bag of crap from David Stearns and how he constructed it. And he was a lame duck manager. He didn't, he was he was going to be fired no matter what, unless they got far in the playoffs. And, uh, David Stearns is using his shield right now. That was his shield. It didn't help him. Most fans are not on the side of David Stearns, but it was never Carlos Mendoza's fault. He only had what to work with. If the players don't perform, they got, think about this. And I know I'm rambling here, but
No, you're fine.
they got rid of their entire coaching staff as well as gutting the whole team, and only kept Carlos Mendoza. That is unheard of. You don't fire every coach and then gut your whole team with superstars, Nimmo, Diaz, Alonso, McNeil, and just keep your manager. And that's simply because David Stearns, in the beginning of the season, if it got off to a bad start, which it did, didn't want the bounty on him. But I'm sure Steve Cohen, the owner, said after that 7-game losing streak and 4-game sweep, you know what? We have to do something. The fans are going crazy. So to put a ball on it, it wasn't Mendoza's fault. Um, he's a good guy. I hope he lands another job. And Andy Green here, I don't think he's all about here to win games. They're 15 under. Whether they finish 13 under or 8 under, it won't matter. Uh, and that's where I see the Mets right now with their new, managerial change.
No, I kind of agree with you. I think there's a few things. Let me get to this really quick. Thomas, yes, you're absolutely right. The Rangers do have the starting pitching to make a run. What they don't have is the offense, honestly, or a bullpen. They don't have a closer. If we're buying at the trade deadline, I hope it's a closer. I pray it's a closer. Um, but yeah,
The Mets can help you
that
there.
it would. It would help us immensely if we had a closer, if we had a genuine lockdown closer, things could be different, honestly. But closing by committee doesn't work. You can talk to any Nationals fan about that too. Anything closing by committee, it doesn't work. Let me get back though into the Mets because there's another piece of this that I want to talk about. So and this is big national news. I mean, we're not doing anything that anybody else isn't doing. But they've got a payroll of what, just under 400,
Yep.
375 million. And Was it just incompetence? Was it misguided? Was it the wrong people? Was it the wrong guys in seats? All of the above, none of the above. There's so many pieces there that have to be looked at.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for me to answer that, but I mean, I've talked about it to the cows come home and written about it a lot, obviously, with them losing every game. Uh, David Stearns and just how he gutted the team, got rid of the entire coaching staff, kept Carlos Mendoza. There was no chemistry. There was no identity to begin the season. And we've seen with the New York Knicks, I know it's another sport, but it's New York, and Met fans and Yankee fans are Knicks fans, and I've seen it. I'm a Knicks fan. First championship I ever got to see, in my lifetime. They brought in guys like Jalen Brunson and Makai Bridges and OG, obviously through a trade, and Josh Hart. They're best friends, the three guys from Villanova, and they won together. Mets literally just are David Stearns short-term contracts, guys with opt-outs, nothing signed long-term. And think about that as a human element, Pete. When you're not here on a long-term contract and nothing is guaranteed more than 2 years, you don't really feel, unless you're moving around like a journeyman, but you don't feel like you're a part of something. Like you're just kind of passing by, and your heart is not fully in it. And so with that, and also you had a completely new team have to get to know each other with no chemistry, no bonding, no nothing. Everything was just changed. Um, and that's the biggest thing that started all of this. The $380 million payroll is there, but a lot of those contracts are because they frankly suck. Frankie Montas, David Stearns gave him 2 years, $34 million when nobody would offer him a penny. And that was one of his first signings. And it's just bad money spent, bad use of getting rid of Pete Alonso. Like it was known for a long time, David Stearns does not like Pete. And he wasn't going to bring him back after he gave him that one out, that opt out year for last year. But it's just a cluster F of everything right now that could have gone wrong. And honestly, it just has to do with David Stearns. And I wrote this on Monday, and it happened to be one of my better newsletters in terms of just, reads and how many people it reached. I wrote it from the heart. I put a lot of blame on Steve Cohen, the owner, and I never thought I'd ever do that. I was fair. He spends money, he's invested. I know teams could kill to have a $400 million payroll. I'm not greedy. I'm used to the Wilpons being the owners. They were called the coupons, But the way that this has transpired over the last almost 6 years, and how it's just gone by, my newsletter, and check it out. It's Monday. Um, it's from Monday. I wrote it from the heart. I'm not happy with Steve Cohen. He's the one that hired David Stearns. I understand Stearns had a high quality reputation, but maybe it wasn't a match for New York, because Stearns was a mid-market Milwaukee guy, and now maybe, you know, all this money, and just he wanted to do things that he wanted to do. It hasn't worked out. So I give obviously more blame to Stearns, but I'm slowly giving a little more to Steve Cohen, because usually we hear from him. He's been transparent for 5 years, whether it's talking press conferences, or in the dugout with reporters, or just tweeting. And he stopped. And now the Mets fans are just in the dark wondering what happened to this team. You got rid of everybody. We suck even more now. Our favorite players are gone. And Cohen has just been silent. He was just arguing with people on Twitter, random dudes, replying. Met fans want to hear from him, and not because owners are obligated to speak to fans. That's not really heard of. Mark Cuban, Jerry Jones, not many. But Steve Cohen from the jump was talking to fans through Twitter, social media, whatever it might be, going on interviews. And then it just completely stopped. And why that happened, there's a lot of conspiracy theories I don't want to go into right now, take forever. But to answer your question, it has to do with the front office. Players will be blamed, obviously, but the front office, to answer your question of $380 million, what went wrong?
And that's fair. The thing that and this really jumped out at me, and I'm going to touch on this, and we don't even have to get into it. But in the press conference with Stearns, when the question was asked, well, is your job on the line? And a very deadpan, very straight up serious, no, it's not. There's there's a piece of ownership, there's a piece of being, in the trenches with these guys and owning what goes wrong, right? It's not owning the team, not in that sense of ownership, but owning what goes wrong. And Stearns just simply flat out refused to take any ownership. No, I'm fine. My job's fine. I talked
Yeah,
to Stevie. Stevie said my job's fine. So we're cool. So we're just going to go find another manager. And I think that is a really, I'm sorry, just a real poor way of handling something with a manager like with a manager like Mendoza. I mean, he was a well liked guy. He really was. And to just, yeah, bye, see ya. That that kind of surprised me. Now,
yeah,
one more thing, and I want to just get this off my chest, get this done, and be done with
sure.
this Mets thing, and put it to bed.
Please.
Did you see this? Did you see this Eric Chavez thing on Foul
Eric
Territory?
Chavez? Yes, absolutely.
So he's the kind of guy in the corporate world. We love these kind of guys where you're not going to hire anybody for an entry level position unless you have 5 years experience.
Correct.
And how do you get 5 years experience? Well, I don't know, but don't come back to me for an entry level job until you have 5 years of experience. Go away, Eric. Nobody cares. You're just mad. You're angry, and it's showing. So stop talking.
Yeah. A couple things. The video that you were just referring to in the David Stearns press conference, real quick. I talked about that, posted the video in my newsletter, the actual video, and you're spot on. David Stearns did not answer the question, but New York media does not usually pressure front office guys like they did. That was Mike Puma of the New York Post, who's a Met beat writer, and he's been with the Post and the Mets for over 20 years. Um, and he sees social media and how fed up Met fans are, and he was the one that I called balls, chutzpah, brass to ask that question. And the question was, should you think about maybe resigning? Now, obviously, nobody in the world would say yes to that, like David Stearns, but the way he just has that cocky grin, like he's the smartest man in the room with a little, smirk, like he's better than you. That's what he gave off in that answer. It wasn't sincere or heartfelt. Um, and then just moving quickly to Chavez, if you want to interject, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I that's exactly what I got. It was smirky, smarmy, just a really kind of disgusting display.
So we have a comment here from Thomas Schur. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name. He writes in, and you could join in, guys, if you're on the live with us. We're answering all questions, maybe not all if they're just comments, but if you have a specific question, we will definitely engage and talk to you guys. Um, but he says Xavi is petty, and he's talking about Eric Chavez. Here's my take on this whole thing since we brought it up and we're talking about it. Eric Chavez got fired. Um, him and Stearns never got along, and he was left over from the old regime of Buck Showalter, I believe,
Mhm.
because he was with the
It
Mets
was.
for a good amount of years. And Eric Chavez made around $100 million in his career. Let's talk about Eric Chavez real quick. The player, 8-time Gold Glove winner, 7-time whatever it might be. I think he's got like the most Gold Gloves without actually making an All Star team. Regardless of all that, he was a great Major League Baseball player,
Yep.
and he doesn't need the money. I don't think he wants, and obviously he doesn't need another job because he's talking on his podcast, obviously burning all the bridges that he can. No team will ever hire him knowing how he throws teams under the bus like he has.
Yeah.
And so to answer Thomas's comment on our feed right here, Chavez is petty, 100,000%. But he's allowed to be because while it's not right, maybe to air other team or your old team's dirty laundry, he doesn't give a shit. That's the main thing is that he has a million, hundreds of millions maybe in the bank from being a all-time, not great player, but a great Oakland A. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need a job. He's got a podcast. He's opinionated. Um, and while he's being petty,
Oh,
of whatever you want. Um, but whether I agree with it or not, no, shut your mouth, Chavez. It's just petty stuff. So yeah, now I'm talking it out. Thank you for that, Thomas, with the comment there, because he's absolutely 100 being petty. It's not a good look for anybody, especially what he just said about Juan Soto. That was the big comment, and that's where I think you were going with.
That's exactly where I was gonna go. And I think you start I I I don't think that that's a good look for somebody like him. I don't think that he comes off as being he might be completely knowledgeable, he might have all these great ideas, but when you start sniping people and you start doing these kind of things, it's just not a good look, and you just really should be quiet.
Yeah,
Just honestly, honestly.
it's obviously he doesn't want another job. He doesn't
Right.
need it because he's got all the money, and so that's why he's doing it. We both agree it's not a good look, and go away with your podcast, Mr. Eric Chavez.
Just stay on the internets and we'll be fine. So, one other thing another part of this I wanna get to, and that's the Pirates. I don't know if you saw what they did last night to the Phillies.
I did.
Why are they not doing that every week? Why is that not something that we're talking about after every game? Okay, they can't do it every game? Sure. 3 times a week, 4 times a week. Why are we not doing this, guys? What is the problem here?
So before I answer that, let me get a little more info from your question. Are you high on them? It sounds like they're underperforming in your opinion.
So they are underperforming in my opinion. They have they have talent on that roster. They've got 2 unbelievable people on their staff. They should be doing these kind of things more often. And I don't know why we're seeing such a struggle happening with the Pirates. There were so many people that picked them beginning of the year. Hey, the Buccos are going, man. This is going to happen. And they came out hot. They were doing the things. You've got Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is not throwing like Paul Skeens normally throws. We saw he had a really bad start to the year, but he's coming back into it. You see Bubba Chandler doing his things. You see all of these guys. And to put up what they did yesterday against the Phils tells me that it's there.
Hmm.
We just we I want to see them do more. I want to see the Pirates franchise succeed, and I want to see these fans get something out of it that they haven't been able to see for so many years.
Yeah, real quick. I agree. A couple things there to your first point. I think they're a little young. I don't think they're really meshed together well. They brought in some veterans and spent money just like the White Sox did for the first time, and whether that's to try to lure Paul Skeens to stay, I don't know. But Pirates, just like the White Sox, don't spend money, and they did. They brought in Ryan O'Hearn. Um, they brought in uh, who am I forgetting? Another hitter that is not it's not coming to me, but a quality hitter. What were they down 5-0, and they won 8-5. They had Ashcraft on the mound, and he shit the bed, but 8 runs will save you. Um, I think it's their bullpen and kind of back end of their starting pitching that's holding them back. For to answer your first question, and then I just think that um, the NL Central is wide open. They're around 500. We're obviously right there in the wild card race. They could always buy. They will. You don't spend money in the offseason out of nowhere if you're not a contender and not buying. Um, so I'm with you. I'm higher on them, not because they're in a weak division, but they have the talent. Obviously, O'Neal Cruz is on the IL, but um, there's a lot of good players on that team right now. And in that division, you probably should be doing better.
They're only 2 games back in the wild card. So I really want to see them go forward and really make something out of this because it's an opportunity for them. And I think it's going to be something that we see for a couple of years going forward where the Pirates are just going to be part of the conversation. And that doesn't make me sad at all. It it,
They
it
have a
doesn't
great
make me sad.
baseball city. They have one of the greatest fan bases in the world. They show up when they're winning, and we've seen it. So I hope that they do well because there's nothing like a packed ballpark in one of the most beautiful stadiums in all of baseball at PNC Park. I mean that backdrop of Pittsburgh and just the Roberto Clemente Bridge. obviously.
Yep.
Um, I'm rooting for him.
Oh yeah. No, I completely agree. Um, you talked a little bit about the losing streaks, especially with the Yankees. They're on a 5-game they're on a 5-game slide. The A's are on a 3-game slide. I've been really high on the A's all year. I still am high on the A's. I think there's work that needs to be done, and the offense isn't always going to fix it. The Padres are on another 3-game slide. Do the Padres do the Padres finish second in the NLS? Do they show up? Do they finally start coming together? Does Tatis finally figure it out?
They're not winning the NLS. They're
But
12
no,
game.
no, 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 no.
Yeah, whether they yeah, whether they make a playoffs, get into the
Second in the West.
yeah. Um, they're another team that is odd, but the main issue with them is that their superstars are not producing. Manny Machado is having his worst year of his career. Tatis has what, one home run?
One or two, yeah.
Yeah. They had the best closer in baseball. They have Michael King. They got some really good pitchers in that rotation, obviously, and they have a great bullpen, but they're not hitting. Um, they have one of the worst offenses in the league. They're like bottom five in the NL or maybe all baseball. But why I can say that they have a pulse, AJ Preller, their GM, will always buy at the deadline,
Yep.
and they will be in it. They're right there for a wild card spot. We've seen it with all the moves they've made.
Yep.
And their bullpen. Their bullpen is a top three in the major leagues to me with what they have right there with Mason Miller and Vasquez. Is it Vasquez? Adam. Uh, there's just a ton of guys there that are amazing in the back end.
I almost put him number 2 behind Philly in the bullpen.
If I'm comparing them to Philly, I have them above Philly.
Do you?
Actually, yeah. I mean, we could
Okay.
one or two, sure, but
Okay.
uh, that's why I think they're in better shape than we think because they have such an amazing bullpen. Their starting pitching is decent enough, and they will address that at the break, or I should say the deadline, and they're going to adjust their offense because they don't. That's what's holding them back. It's their offense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, got a few more minutes to go. This is a question that's been brought up. It's something that I wrote about. Um, Scooble, Cy Young, 2026. Yes or no?
No, no way.
No.
After he came back from the IL, he's had three bad, mediocre starts, and that would be for any pitcher. For Screwball, we're used to 8 innings, 2 runs every game with 10 strikeouts. He's not Screwball of 2 years ago. You want back-to-back Cy Youngs? That's amazing. He should get good money, but he's not winning the Cy Young this year.
Schlittler take his place?
Well, it's funny. I know why you're bringing this up because what's happening in about a couple, maybe an hour? They're facing each other, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Um, He could be right there, Schlittler. Yeah. His numbers back it. His ERA backs it. His strikeouts back it. Absolutely.
I think Schlittler's been on fire all year. Um, I I want to like the guy so desperately. I do, but he's a Yankee, so that's kind of hard. Um, quite honestly, but I want to like Schlittler because of what he's doing and the what he's putting into it. I I do legitimately think though, honestly, his contact suppression is so incredibly high that he's kind of a lock for it, honestly. Even against Scooble, if Scooble were still Scooble, quite honestly.
Am I
Um,
missing? Is there another pitcher that would be in the conversation? Or is because if it's just Schlittler and Screwball, that's not even close right now. Uh, Um,
no, 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 no. And I'm just going for a comparison with
oh,
the
okay.
two of them. That's all I'm looking at. Um, but I
But you
think
still have him winning the Cy Young as of now.
Schlittler,
Yeah.
yeah,
As
I
of
do.
this moment.
As of as of right now, I think he's the closest one that we're gonna see that can handle the entire package of being in that in that discussion. I don't see anybody else. Parker Messick is
No,
probably number 2 in contact suppression, but he got lit up last night by the Rangers.
yes, you did.
By the Rangers that didn't have Corey Seager and Wyatt Langford and Brandon Nimmo, and I mean, he got lit up by a bunch of guys that just got called up. Davis Martin from the White Sox, love him. I don't I just don't see what Davis Martin can do to beat Cam Schlittler, just personally.
I'm going to agree with everything you said. Off the top of my head, no one right now is that close to Mr. Schittler for the Cy Young as of today, June 30th.
Yeah.
I don't think in the AL. So we'll leave it at that. I think I'm dead agreeing with you on this one. He's had an amazing year. Tough to root for him, like you said, uh, but we can't deny and we have to respect the numbers and kind of season that he's having.
No, absolutely. And he's having a fantastic season. Um, I think the only person above what Schlittler's doing, honestly, in baseball is Mizorowski, and that's a conversation that could take another 45 minutes.
He's awesome. He's winning the Cy Young. It's over.
Oh yeah,
That's
it's
that's
done.
fine. I mean,
Yeah.
it's yeah. He's not even in. He's in his own world right now, and I've never seen anything like it.
No, call Vegas. Put your money on it if that's what you do, because Mizorowski's winning. Um, Trade deadline coming up. Let's talk about Scooble, because obviously he is again what everybody's talking about with the trade deadline. What do the Tigers get out of it? Are they asking for the moon? Do they want just a couple and offload him off the books so they don't got to pay the full 36 million or whatever it was?
That's a great question. Um, it's kind of complicated because of his injury. He's not pitching like the screwball that we're used to,
Yep.
and there's 5 weeks left. He's starting today, so he's got what 4 more starts before the deadline. Let's say 4 or 5. The deadline's August 3rd.
Yeah,
June 30th. He's pitching today. 5 or 6. You know, is that enough time for him to show teams that he's fully healthy? And then his numbers would have to back it up. If he's not the screwball of old, I don't think there will be the craziest asking thing price for him. But to answer your specific question, yes, there's going to be a ton of teams in on him, and the Tigers are going to trade him. They're not going to pull
yep,
Artie Moreno with Shohei Ohtani and not get anything for it. And he's leaving. He's the Boris client. He is going to free agency. They're going to trade him. They will get a massive return. It just might not be what it was if he didn't get hurt and was not having the schoolboy type year.
that's fair. That's that's totally fair. All right, we got a couple minutes left. We got to get on to the rest of our lives. Let you guys get on with the rest of yours. Thank you guys so much for joining us in the comments. Everybody being in there. Thank you guys for giving us a name. We are Say hello to the nerds. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Thank you guys for playing along with us. We do appreciate it. Um, this is going to be an ongoing project, both for Casey and for I. We like doing this. It's something fun where we get to talk all around baseball and not just the teams that we're kind of dealing with. Um, but this gives us an opportunity to talk to you guys and to kind of bring something different for you guys. Casey, plug your program there.
Yeah, guys. The Shea Hello newsletter Monday through Friday. A weekday publication that will be in your inbox. And if there's a subscribe button that you see on your screen, if you're not subscribed to Baseball Nerd, I appreciate it. You'll love the work. It's not just Mets baseball. Um, and obviously it's mostly, but I cover everything. That's why we have these podcasts to talk about all of Major League Baseball. So hit that subscribe button at the Say Hello newsletter. And if you're already a follow on the stream, hit the subscribe button to my good friend here, the Baseball Nerd. He does excellent work. I enjoy reading all of his stuff. And that's where you can find me. The Say Hello newsletter. It's on your screen. Hit that subscribe button. And we'll see what tonight's newsletter brings, depending on the game and how everything goes.
It'll be great reading for the morning as I lay in bed. The first thing I do, put on my glasses and see what's new, and that's the first thing that always pops up, and it's always fun to see it.
Appreciate that.
Um, yeah, if you guys definitely, if you have any interest at all in anything baseball or Mets related coverage, give Casey a follow at the Shea Hello newsletter. I'm
Share
the
it to your
baseball nerd.
friends. Absolutely. I've had a ton of fun with this, and then episode 2, amazing that
Uh,
here we are, and then we have a name, and we'll be branding it, and it will be glorious.
it will be phenomenal. Again, I'm the baseball nerd. Subscribe, DM me for anything that I can help you with. I love questions from people saying, "Hey, why this or what does this mean?" or things like that. I love to get into it, and especially if there's anything where I can build a stat around it, that's kind of my jam, and that's what I love doing. But check out my page. Thebaseballnerd.com has a bunch of leaderboards. Everything's updated almost every day on it. So, but anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. Casey, it's fantastic seeing you. We will do this again. Thinking Tuesday, maybe we'll talk.
Look, we've
And
done 2 consecutive Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, so we'll announce it.
we'll announce it. You guys, thank you again for being here. Casey, best of luck to the Mets tonight. Good luck, and we will see you very soon.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.